This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Yeah, yo, it's game time, ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports, just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken, stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the...
Good morning. Welcome to the debate show. I am your host, Trilla. We have with me James Martin as usual and Jack Hirsch. You gentlemen are doing good this morning. That's great. We're going to go right into our questions because, you know, that's how Jack likes it done. So we're going to start off with the good old Dallas Cowboys and Micah Parsons. This has been a long-standing thing for the last 2 months. Do you guys agree with how Jerry Jones is handling Micah Parsons' contract situation?
Well, I think James should start off with this one because I think he's going to be called for a false start coming out of the blocks. That's how anxious he is to get going. So he's raring to go. I'll just counter.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I might agree with him. I don't know his position yet.
Well, my position is I don't have a problem with what Jerry Jones is doing. Jerry Jones has always been Jerry Jones. I think this is who he is. You've seen the history with this guy. Is he supposed to change with the times? I think people would like ideally for people to change with the times, but that's just not reality. That's not people. A tiger doesn't change his stripes. And I think every player that has played with Jerry Jones knows who he is. Once they get to know him, you know how the media knows who he is. He knows he wants to be in the media. And I think you've seen how Jerry Jones has handled these players' contracts. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Zach Martin a few years back that held out. Ultimately, at the end of the day, and going all the way back to Emmitt Smith, finding out early on who actually sat out, and the Dallas Cowboys started losing after their first Super Bowl. He held out the second year on going for a two-peat, and he realized he needed him. Ultimately, at the end of the day, these guys get paid. These guys are going to get their money. Micah Parsons is going to be the highest paid non-quarterback. I'm calling it right now for the Dallas Cowboys. He may be saying, woe is me, typing on X a whole soliloquy about his life and how Jerry Jones is treating him unfairly. All that is pandering. It's just pandering. You look at Myles Garrett. He said he didn't want to play anymore for the Cleveland Browns. They made him he sold out. Everybody has a price. He sold out. It became the highest paid defensive player or non-quarterback at the time before TJ Watt got paid higher than him, just slightly higher. So all these guys, they're just looking to get paid. They're getting closer to the training camp. They get closer to the season. They get a little anxious. And I think they know who Jerry Jones is. Don't get me wrong. When I read Micah Parsons' take about his interaction with Jerry Jones, speaking privately about leadership and how it switched to money, Jerry Jones, he's a little shrewd. I think that was a little underhanded, but it is what it is. It's part of business. It's just who Jerry Jones is. If Michael Parsons felt like this was a situation where he brought up money, he should have stopped Jerry Jones at that point and said, "You got to talk to my agent. We'll stick to football, but in regards to money, I got a guy that handles that." So I don't buy this whole situation where like, oh, they're treating me unfairly. I'm getting talked about in the media. It's a part of the game, unfortunately. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's a part of the game, but you're going to get paid. And I think he's doing this. Him and his agent are strategically doing this to just like the other players did to get paid.
I partially agree with you. Even though it's a debate show, we can fundamentally agree with the same question, and there are going to be people in the audience who will disagree. So it's debatable, even if you go along in large part. Let's break down what Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones represents himself. He's the one paying out the money. Micah Parsons has an agent to represent him. At any point, Micah Parsons could have said to Jerry Jones, "No, my agent has to discuss that with you. I'm not discussing the money thing with you." And as far as Micah Parsons just happening to reach out to Jerry Jones to talk about leadership, I mean, give me a break. I mean, get out of here. You don't have a contract. That's on your mind first and foremost. It isn't leadership with the Cowboys. It's getting your contract done. Then you want to be a leader. You want the team to do well. Then you're fully invested. I get all that. But first and foremost, Micah Parsons had the contract on his mind. So he reaches out to Jerry Jones to make all nice with Jerry Jones. "Oh, let's talk about leadership. I just want to help this team win." When it's about the money, come on. In the beginning, initially, to get his contract. And Jerry Jones talks to him about the contract. It's smart by Jerry Jones. If you can get the player to agree with you, you do it. Jerry Jones is doing nothing illegal, nothing unethical. Micah Parsons' agent is now mad at Jerry Jones. Be mad at your client. I mean, be mad at the guy who's hired you. Micah Parsons. You have to tell him, Micah, don't talk to him. Micah Parsons is the equivalent of someone talking to the police and Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is the police, and if the guy's lawyer says, don't talk to them no matter what, you understand? Leave it up to me, and they still talk to the police, that's the way it is. I mean, are you going to blame the police for trying to get the information out? You're going to get all mad at them, which you would, of course, if the person you represent knows very clearly not to speak up. It's like in the movie Richard Jewell. Did you guys see that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Richard Jewell was told by his attorney not to talk to the FBI. And he kept going, well, I'm law enforcement too. And he kept talking to him. Mm-hmm. So who are you really going to blame there? Ultimately, with the money thing, the player has to decide, am I going to put my full faith in the agent? Look what happened with A-Rod, who had Scott Boras representing him. Scott Boras would have A-Rod just go anywhere to the highest bid, and A-Rod wanted to be a Yankee. And finally, no offense for Trilla, but A-Rod said, if I leave it up to Scott Boras, he'll have me playing in Detroit, and I want to be with the Yankees. So he went against Scott Boras, and he cut his own deal. Smart, not smart, it's debatable. In A-Rod's case, it worked out financially, and I guess it worked out otherwise. They won a World Series, and he had somewhat of a legacy with the Yankees. Probably a better one that he would have had had he went to any other team, let alone the Tigers, but who knows? So it's twofold, but ethically speaking, Jerry Jones knows if he talks to Micah Parsons directly and not the agent, he could probably get away with paying Micah Parsons less money. Obviously, that's on Jerry Jones's mind. He's bypassed talking to agents in the past, but you want to know something? He's paid out contracts to players who are not worth all that money. Dak Prescott doesn't deserve to be the highest paid quarterback in the game. CeeDee Lamb doesn't deserve to get paid, on the equivalent of Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. He's a wonderful receiver, but he's a little below that caliber. And Zach Martin was worth the money in the past. Ezekiel Elliott wasn't, as it turned out. And Jerry Jones is tired of giving these monster contracts and not getting the full value for it. If he was guaranteed that Micah Parsons was going to be great and stay healthy and be on the field the next few years, Jerry Jones would pay the money. And as far as Jerry Jones trying to pay less, saying, well, he wants to stress winning, take less money. Don't all the coaches do it? Doesn't Bill Belichick do it all the time? It's common. They try to get players to take less if they're in a winning culture. We hear that all the time. Taking a cut.
The only problem I have with that take in regards to Jerry Jones not wanting to pay the player their market value is that's just what it is. It's the market value. You got to play. I mean, and you're taking a risk. When you invest, you're taking a risk on potentially getting a good on your return. You may or may not get good on your return, but it's still the name of the game. You still got to pay and do it. You got to take the gamble. It's a gamble. You got to pay the guy what they're worth. And I disagree with the CeeDee Lamb take. I think my man deserved to get paid. For whatever reason, the offense just had injury bug and everything. But CeeDee Lamb still went out there and did his thing last year, regardless of what was going on. They finally just shut it down when they shut him down. When we realized the season was out of reach. There was nothing they can do with that. And so I think CeeDee Lamb deserved his money. Dak Prescott is questionable. I think I might agree with you in whether or not he should be the highest paid quarterback. But again, at the time, hedge your bets. You just know when to hold him and know when to fold him. I think he knew, Dak Prescott knew when it was time to get the money. And I think you got to blame Jerry Jones to some degree because he waits too late to pay these guys. And when it's time to get to the end, he ends up paying these guys exorbitant amount of money that he probably shouldn't have paid them. He should have paid them early on when, like Micah Parsons said, we could have handled this contract last season. I do agree with him there. I agree that they could have handled it then, but Jerry Jones steps on his own feet.
Happened? You would have had another Trey Hendrickson situation. Had he paid him last year, the market then would have went up, and Micah Parsons would have been asking for an extension a year later. He would have said,
that'd be his problem.
I'm getting underpaid. Jerry Jones and all owners in the NFL, they usually hold all the cards. They don't have to do a darn thing. A guy is on the contract. Why does everyone think we have to do something? They can franchise tag him next year. What happens if they do that? What's Micah Parsons' recourse? To retire.
He's going to have to play. He's not going to retire.
He'll have to play under it. So Micah Parsons and the other players should argue with the NFL Players Association, who worked out, the contract about what owners can do and what they can't do. But the owners usually don't. They give in to public pressure. The owners are always asked to take all the risks, not the players. The players don't want to take the risks. Well, if I get injured, this and that, well, then the owners have to pay. I understand they have insurance policies on both sides that lessen it. But Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons' case, to be specific, Micah Parsons got a contract. He can franchise tag him.
This is not like we're talking about some scrub that's playing the game. You're talking about a field general on the defense that's a high marquee player. You don't treat your high marquee player. You don't treat all your players like this, but especially your high marquee players. Let me say this about he's getting his fifth-year options, $21 million. $21 million. That's grossly underpaid for the value of player that he is in comparison to his counterparts like a TJ Watt, like a Myles Garrett.
That's the collective bargaining agreement.
I agree, but usually most teams, the unwritten rule is, though, Jack, is that around this time, a lot of teams will negotiate when they realize their player has far beyond exceeded that expectation of that value of that contract. So specifically, I would say he deserves a new contract for sure because of his play.
No, he doesn't deserve it. Two things stand out. The Cowboys haven't gone to a Super Bowl with Micah Parsons won, so he doesn't deserve it for what he brought to the team in the past, even though he's been a great player. I'm going to acknowledge that. It's what the player could do for you going forward. And Micah Parsons, let him have a great year this year under the franchise tag. And then if they franchise tag him again, he's going to get quarterback money under the franchise tag, more than what he'd normally get paid if he gets a second franchise tag or a third one or whatever. Let him be a great player the next few years, and the Cowboys are going to have to pay him probably more money than he get on a contract now, or he could be an unrestricted free agent, go somewhere else, and the Cowboys wouldn't even get compensated.
Now, I agree that this is where the players have to take their risk. If they did that, they're taking risk because, again, you're playing a very violent sport where at any moment your value can go in the toilet because of some injury or something that occurs.
Let me make then I'm sorry I cut in, but just answer me. So you're saying Jerry Jones should take the risk, but Micah Parsons shouldn't. It's okay for Jerry Jones and the Cowboys to take all the risks.
I think that he's taken the risk on the full contract that he's played. Look, the amount of money that he got for a rookie deal, would we not agree that he's exceeded that?
Yeah,
in comparison,
everyone exceeds their deal.
That's not true.
Has already exceeded.
That's not
deal.
Jaden Daniels have, but not everybody does. You got people that there's a word called bust. There are people that come in the league that fizzle out and don't do anything eventually. So I would say no. That's everybody doesn't do their contract. So you got some guys that actually come out and exceed what they're getting paid because of the value in comparison to some of the players that are veterans that have been in the league longer, have probably getting paid more. You deserve to be paid in that regard. I agree. I will agree with you here. If you have a contract, play your contract out. But the way the game is, the way it's been done with owners who have done this, they renegotiate. Why can't he renegotiate as well? So I just think that
would you agree with me? What always happens with these great players at the end of their career, at some point, they're getting paid like they're elite, but they give you at least one down season where they don't even come close to meriting the amount that they're getting paid. And that owners expected to do that. Eat 1 or 2 years on the contract where the player no longer can perform at that level because they keep extending guys and don't let them play to the end of their contract. Again, Micah Parsons, it's an injury risk thing, but the team that pays the money, he missed 6 games. Jerry Jones pointed that out. I got to make him one of the highest paid players, non-quarterbacks in the game. Is he going to stay on the field? He missed 6 games. And that probably irks Jerry Jones because he saw what happened with Dak Prescott.
Let me interject real quick.
Let
me interject real quick. Both of you are right about the risk. The owner's taking a risk and the player is taking a risk. Okay, the risk. There's no greater risk to either side. If Micah Parsons is playing under contract and he feels he deserves more in his position, he does because he's overdone whatever. Just because you don't go to a Super Bowl, it's not on an individual, it's on the team. If he is propelling your team to get to that point, he's gotten to the playoffs, he's gotten that defense better, I mean, as an individual, then you pay him by that. The dude has, 26 sacks? Yeah, 26-something sacks over the last couple of years he's played. I mean, the dude is worth that money. A lot of teams do, like the Lions. What they did with Goff and they did with Amon Brown, St. Brown, and Penei Sewell, they signed their contracts early so that the market value, it was cheaper for them. Now look at all the quarterbacks and all the receivers and the offensive tackles that are getting paid comparative to what they got those guys for. So now the market is up. So next time they get paid, obviously it is market value. With Micah Parsons, I mean, both sides are just kind of screwy right now. Like, I agree with you, Jack. They should play their contract. They should play up to their contract. They should. But again, what James said is true. That's just the way the NFL is right now. Until somebody changes the rules on that, that's the way it's going to work. These
Not
players
rules, it changes the attitude.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the better way. And
Well, that's
Jerry
part of
Jones
it.
might be changing the attitude. So why is he the villain?
And then on top of that, I mean, when you're going to take a risk with any player that you draft or get as a free agent on injury, and every player is going to have that same calculation as well. They don't know if they're going to, injuries are weird. They happen at any time, so that's part of the game. And for him to say, well, I don't pay him because he might be injured 6, no, Jerry, I'm sorry. That's an idiotic comment. Okay. Because every owner out there understands the risk when they sign these players. That's how the game is. It's a violent game. And I'm sorry. Both sides are just not in the right spot right now. Both of them need to regroup, get their stuff together, and get this contract done, and stop being on social media talking about stuff, and stop telling media about a bunch of stuff. It's a kid thing that they're doing, and it's not a grown-up way to handle the situation. They're both going back and forth.
There's another element too that no one really discusses. Does Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones have a little doubt whether going forward Micah Parsons is truly going to be an elite player? They'll feel he'll be a very good player going forward at the very least. But when you pay that type of money, the guy's got to be absolutely a star player, one of the best in the NFL. You're not paying for like the 25th best player in the NFL, that type of money. So you don't know what they think of Micah Parsons' performance. Has it slipped just a little bit, where he's an all-pro, where he's a Pro Bowl player still, but not, not truly elite, not one of the best 5 players who are non-quarterbacks. They might feel he's now maybe the 12th best non-quarterback.
I'm just going to say edge rushers are one of the hardest positions to get an elite player. And I think having a player like that in your back pocket where you drafted, you groomed him, you cultivated him, this is the guy you want to keep. This is not the guy you want to let go because they don't grow on trees. It's really difficult to find a guy like that and have somebody play. So you're going to, whether you think he's worth that elite money or not, you still got to pay him that because you're not going to be able to keep him because somebody's going to pay him that money. Somebody wants to pay him that because they see the value.
If he's not a lead anymore, someone else is going to make the mistake. As far as the injury factor goes, $21 million a year this year. If your career ends, you're not going to have to look at for employment somewhere else to make a living. You're going to be comfortable.
We're looking at it from the value of. I don't know what your status is right now, but for me, yes. If I had to look at $21 million, I'd be excited and ecstatic about it. But if I'm a player of his considerable level, and I see my counterparts what they're getting paid, and I'm getting $21 million, of course I'm going to feel undervalued. I'm going to feel underpaid. I'm going to want the money that guy. Like Sonya said last night, the kids at the park. Why is he getting that? I want that. It's just human nature. I think you're gonna feel undervalued. Now, how they going about it, like D. Trilla says, is childish, yes. But with that said, it is what it is. This guy deserves to be paid. I think he is elite. To answer your question, I think he's elite.
Yeah,
and I think he deserves he deserves the money. And I just think that they're going about it wrong. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he's going to get paid, and he's going to be a Dallas Cowboy with a star on his head. And we saw how Jerry handled the last 2 guys that he paid. It was a straight drag out war, and he still ended up conceding and paying these guys. And I think it's going to happen here.
Well, has it paid off for Jerry? So far, Dak Prescott hasn't been a good signing for what he got paid. Hasn't been because he got in, maybe because he got injured or whatever, but it hasn't been. CD Lamb, the jury's still out on him. As far as whether that was a good signing, make him one of the highest paid receivers, we'll see. Ezekiel Elliott, I don't think it quite worked out, as I recall, from when he got
No,
signed. And
but Jerry has
it worked out.
Jerry's the GM. He's got to take some of the blame here. I mean, some of the decision making. I mean, you're late, not drafting a running back, not getting a one in free agent Derrick Henry debacle. That could have helped them. A lot of things could have helped them out. I just think that you got everybody's got to take blame here. With this situation, but you can't blame Michael for not wanting to get paid. That's all at the end of the day. That's not.
Just to switch slightly with the Bengals, because we're talking edge rushers with Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals reportedly have a good deal in place with Trey Hendrickson, which he would be fine with, except for the portion of the guaranteed money. But that means if the Bengals cut Trey Hendrickson, he doesn't get that money. Now, if Trey Hendrickson feels he's still going to be really good, they're not going to cut him. I mean, unless there's an injury thing in the contract or whatever. But again,
this is again. Let me say this one thing, and I'll let you go, B. Why do players and their agents not know the history of a team before you go and sign with them as a free agent? This is who they are. They tell you who they are. The Bengals have always been this team like that and how they handle people and their contracts, and yet you still go there. And then you want to try to change them. You're not going to change the entity. You're not going to change the group. They are who they are. They let you know who they are. They put it in the contract who they are. And you get upset about it. And your feelings get hurt when they don't give you the value that you think you deserve. Go somewhere else. I would say that if I'm a player, if I have an agent, hey, man, let somebody else, let's see if anybody, what the value of anywhere else, or stay where you are. You could have stayed with the Saints, and they would have given him a better contract probably. I don't know. I mean, and speak on what you said, Jack, about players getting paid at the end of the contract. Cam Jordan is definitely one of them in New Orleans, one of those players who definitely he fell off a cliff with his nice contract at the end, and because he's been pretty bad. So, yeah, I agree that the owner takes some hits on that in that regard. But yeah, go somewhere else, man. Just I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the players and all this different and their agents. But people just take what they feel like they can get, and then once they get their foot in the door, they feel like they can change it. My bad, B. You can go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, all contracts are based on potentials anyway. I mean, you could sit there and say, hey. We expect you to do this, this, and this. It doesn't always work out that way. I think people underestimate, and undervalue Dak Prescott because of his injuries. But you got to remember something about Dak Prescott. He was a leader of an offense that was number one for 2 seasons in a row. So when he was playing at full health. So don't devaluate Dak Prescott. He's worth the money he's paid for. Unfortunately, injuries has caught him. And that could happen to any good player. Aiden Hutchinson is another guy. He got put out after the Dallas game. He was out for the rest of the season. He's a great player, and he's still within his rookie contract. And these are the kind of things that you have to look at as a contract too. I'm sure the Lions are saying like, well, dude, we're not going to really pay you yet until we see what you do this season. Because they have that luxury because this will be an extension. So if he plays good, he comes out the gate busting out, and he does like he did at the beginning of last season with 7.5 sacks or something, or anything around that for them, that would make them comfortable. And then they'll pay him that money. They'll give him a check. Here's a check, the blank check. Just fill it out. Certain teams got to be, and I understand a little bit where Jerry Jones is coming from with his caution of Micah, but that's a risk that you're taking as an owner for any player. It doesn't make a difference if it's a Micah Parsons, a Jalen Ramsey, a Aaron Rodgers, any of those kind of players. It doesn't make a difference. You're still taking that chance, even if it's a guy that's just walked off. You know what I'm saying? Walked down the team. You're taking those chances. So. I mean, it is what it is. Okay. So we're going to keep within the NFL, and we're going to which coach is Which coach is likely to get fired at the end of the year if his team has an awful 2025 season?
Jack, I'll let you start this one.
Yeah, I kind of think it'll be Mike McDaniel. I think the Dolphins are a bit of a mess. I don't see much upside with them. And Mike McDaniel's charismatic. He's entertaining. He's likable. He's a character. The media likes him. But I don't see the Dolphins really going anywhere. And instead of making progress, they're sliding backwards. And he's been there for a while.
I got to cut you. The question said least likely.
Oh, least likely. Oh, okay. Least likely over there. You know what? I'd say least likely. I'm sorry. I mean, on that one. Mike Vrabel with New England, because I don't think Robert Kraft is going to fire coaches 2 years in a row. Now, certain coaches we can't imagine getting fired. Let's be honest about it. If the Kansas City Chiefs go 5-12, do you think Andy Reid's going to be called into the office and be given his walking papers on a disastrous year? So let's, even Nick Sirianni's job seemed to be in danger, arguably, at the start of last year. There was talk he might get replaced if they get off to a bad start. I mean, it's conceivable a year after winning a Super Bowl, a guy could get fired. Highly doubtful. We hear about Brian DeBal with the Giants, but he's attached with Joe Shine, the GM. But I would say the safest would be I'd say the safest would be Mike Vrabel. Okay, Mike Vrabel would survive a disastrous year because Jared Mayo was just fired. So is Robert Kraft going to fire 2 coaches after 1 year, especially with Vrabel being an established coach, his favorite? So Vrabel would, at the very worst, even if they went 0-17, let's say they go 0-17, any team, Vrabel would be there for another year. Even if they go 0-17.
No, I was with you until you said 0-17. There's no way. You're supposed to be better than the last coach that was fired. There's no way.
Yeah, but they would straighten out. He would bring in, Robert Kraft would bring in a new GM, a new supporting cast. The coach would survive, but he'd have his powers taken away.
Okay, so I will say that Mike Vrabel is an established coach. I can agree with you there. But if he were to go 0-17, there's no way that you just have a quarterback and you have some of the teams and the moves that you've made in the offseason, the moves you made in the draft, that you should not win one game. No, there's no way. You are definitely on the chopping block, sir. What I would say, my pick is least likely to get fired because of the success that he's had prior to this team and with this team is Kyle Shanahan. I think Kyle Shanahan, because of all the injuries they had last season, and if the players come back, there's still players that are on the PUP list this year. You got a potential questionable retirement in Christian McCaffrey, or in Trent Williams. You don't know what's going to happen. And they got a contract dispute with Juwan Jennings. You just don't know where they're looking at. It looks like they're in limbo right now. But he thinks he gets another year just because of how great of a head coach he is. I think he's an excellent head coach. When I say excellent, meaning he's got to the big dance 3 times. 1 as an offensive coordinator, 2 as a head coach with the 49ers. They just couldn't win it. They didn't win it. And so, but that doesn't take away from your greatness as a coach. I just think that at some point, you're just not. You can only don't get me wrong. You can have game plans and it doesn't go right, but I just think that he deserves another year. He's going to. He's not only deserves it, he's going to get another year, considering all those factors.
I want to say this. Let's do this. this is more of a better way to debate it. What coach can go 0-17 and still be safe?
Fair.
Your coach at New Orleans, because they just brought him in and not much is expected of the Saints in general. So they could go 0-17, and if they're developing certain position players, that might be a survival.
I'm gonna have to tell you, the GM president and the owner came out and said, we're gonna do everything we can to make sure you have all the necessary assets to be successful. And not only that, we are going to give you time. So yes, I will have to agree with you there on that, because I heard that on his opening day when he was hired, they want this to work and they want it to succeed. So if they were to go 0-17 this season, I'll have to agree with that. But to answer your question, B. Trilla, if for the sake of debate, anybody else that would be safe, I'd have to say Sean Payton. If they digress and or regressed and went 0-17, with considering what he was able to do last year with the rookie season of the quarterback and the staff they had, the players they had, and they still were able to get to the playoffs, and they went 0-17 this year. I think, and because of what they have invested in Sean Payton and what he believes in with his quarterback, if they were to have some sort of regression and just have a total debacle and go 0-17, Sean Payton will still be safe.
Well, what about Jim Harbaugh? Strong personality. If the Chargers somehow implode this year, could he survive it? If he wanted to come back and coach, I could see him coming back, not getting fired. It would be crazy, any team that went 0-17. It seems like virtually impossible when we start talking about teams like the Broncos and the Chargers. Like, really, they're not going to win a game. What the heck happened?
Well, look at it this way. I can tell you the two coaches that could be safe from all this, and that would be Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni just came off a Super Bowl. So if they go 0-17, I'm sure his job's not going to be in jeopardy. They're going to question him. He's going to be on the hot seat.
They will forget.
But Reid, he's been a proven guy, and they've been to Super Bowls. They've won Super Bowls. That dude's going to be untouchable like Tomlin is right now. So,
you make a great point that's thought-provoking. If a team goes 0-17, which team might it be, and what would the reasons be? If the Chiefs are 0-17, it meant Patrick Mahomes got injured very early in the season, and he was out the whole year, and they had a number of injuries to key guys. The Andy Reid would be coming back, and everyone would say, wow, look the way the Chiefs went backwards without Mahomes or whatever. So I think Reid comes back. For the good teams, that have to be significant injuries for them to really have that type of a downfall. I'm thinking more along the lines of the teams that aren't that good, like the Giants, the Saints, maybe even the Jets, if you want to argue that. But Aaron Glenn, if they went 0-17, does he get fired? Wow. That's a great question.
I have a great one. Chicago, Ben Johnson, with all of the moves they made, if here they go 0-17, what would happen? I don't know. Yeah, I think he stays another year. I think he's safe still, regardless, because of him as an offensive coordinator.
Well, that division, Kevin O'Connell would stay with the Vikings, I think, because he's had success, a young coach. I think Dan Campbell would go if the Lions had an absolute disaster. I couldn't see they'd have to change the culture, because it would be probably a rebuilding situation.
I believe this. The coaches who do not have to worry about their jobs after an 0-17 are coaches that have proven to win the Super Bowl. That's where I'm going with this at. Reid has won Super Bowls. His job is untouchable right now. Nick Sirianni just won a Super Bowl. If he going 0-17, he would not be fired. But the other 30 coaches in this league, 0-17, I guarantee they'd be fired.
Now, see, this is where the debate comes in. I disagree with that.
Dan Campbell has an offense, has proven himself to be a winner in a division. Hasn't won anything outside of that. No Super Bowls, no NFC. So when you're in that position and you go 0-17, you're on a chopping block. I don't care.
There've been a couple of teams that went. The couple of teams didn't win. What was it? John McKay with the Buccaneers ages ago. They didn't win a game. Was he back the next year? And did Cleveland go winless one season?
Yep.
I'm thinking, was the coach? Oh boy, the coach. He wound up going elsewhere. But was he fired at the end of that season? I mean, it's tough to bring.
I think he was fired either at the end of the season or near the end of the season, just like the Lions coach at the time when they went 0-16. Actually, he was fired.
Yeah.
He was fired. Yeah, he was fired. He was fired mid-season too. Well, not mid-season, like quarter season. And the intern coach that took over didn't do much better. So, yeah, I mean, they'll fire him before they even get to 0-17. But those, like I said, that's ineffective. If your team is not winning, Cleveland and Detroit at that time were not winning teams. So it was easy to axe them. And it will go up. I understand what you're saying, James. But at the same time, this is a league that is what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me now? And I've seen coaches just go through this. They change coaches. There's a couple of teams that done change coaches every year, basically, because they're not being successful at where they're at. The Lions have done that in the past because they cannot win. And Cleveland has done that because they cannot win. These are teams that just can't win. And I know you have a base. Ben Johnson, if he fails, and I don't think anybody's going to go in 0-17, by the way, this year.
No, maybe let's forget the 0-17. That's awesome.
But if they did, I mean, if Ben Johnson went 0-17, I'm telling you right now, if they don't get fired at the end of the year after they go 0-17 and they start off the next year not winning a game, they're gone within the first 3 games.
Well, let's improve a record. The Pittsburgh Steelers, if they go 7-10, and it would be Mike Tomlin's first losing record in close to 20 years, I think he'll be gone. The ownership wouldn't want to fire him, but I think fan pressure would force their hand. So, situations depend, it depends on the franchise.
Organization don't give a damn about their fans, because if that was the case, they'd be making all kinds of moves. They are true to whoever they feel that's a good coach at the time. That's why they've only had 3 coaches in the past.
And they've all been really good coaches. They've all been really good coaches.
Exactly. So. They're not going to get rid of them unless those coaches step down. And both those coaches stepped down. None of them got fired. They stepped down or retired. So they're not. Mike Tomlin's not going nowhere. If he has a 7-10 season, he still ain't going nowhere. Now, Tomlin himself said he might step down because his kid's playing this, and he's going to college or whatever the case may be for his own personal reasons, and that'll be allowable. As soon as he leaves, he's going to let the organization know so they can replace him with another coach. But other than that, they're not going to get rid of him unless, he's got to go in there and slap the hell out of one of the damn owners for that to happen. And I don't. Mike Tomlin is going to be there. Sorry.
2 years from now, Mike Tomlin will be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I think he steps down at the end of this year, takes a year off, and then, winds up in Miami, unless they're really good at the time, and they wouldn't hire him then.
Well, let's get away from the
far-fetched prediction.
Let's get away from the NFL for a moment. And this is a very intriguing debate question. Who was the greater player of the two, Larry Bird or Magic Johnson? This is an awesome question here.
We know Rick Sherlock is watching. He can't wait, Jack. I'm going to give age before beauty. This is my era, but I was a little bitty kid watching these things, so I'll let you go first.
It's a tough one, and that used to be the big question. Like in the past, we used to discuss, like a lot of the old timers, who would win between Joe Louis and Jack Dempsey, and that question now is basically irrelevant. And now the Jordan-LeBron debate has made Bird and Johnson not much of a debate, especially considering Bird and Magic are close friends. People don't care the debate between the two. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. If you were drafting, okay, and you were drafting, and I'm not talking about your team's needs, okay? That's a cop-out. Which guy would you draft? They were each 22 years old or whatever, and would each have and they would each have a comparable amount of years in their league, in their prime. Who would be more of a difference maker? I mean, it's tough, and it also falls along racial lines. I mean, like it or not, I mean, being a white person, it's so rare that there's an elite white player, and I'm not rooting for an elite white player. I'm not at all. But if one comes along, it's eye-catching. And we even see on all these podcasts, these former NBA players who are black. I'm gushing over Larry Bird all the time. They're overdoing it. They're not saying anything about Magic Johnson. It's as if they're bending over backwards on a racial issue. It's okay we go there with that. It's close. It's very close. I mean, Magic. I'm gonna give a tiny edge to Bird on that, and only because of this reason. Okay, if you look at their success, and Magic had a little more team success, a couple more championships. Magic Johnson was playing in his prime with only arguably, the greatest player in NBA history in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We could say it's Jordan 1, LeBron 2, and let's say we say Kareem is 3. Did he have better players than Larry Bird? And even that's close. I mean, he had James Worthy, great player, Hall of Famer, who knew his role. He had Michael Cooper, one of the great defenders in NBA history. He had Byron Scott, a heck of a player. But then conversely, I mean, Bird had McHale. He had Parrish. He had DJ. He had Cedric Maxwell. He had Ainge. You can make a little argument that overall, Bird had likely the better players quantity-wise, it combined with quality. It's so close. It's so close. But I think if each guy was asked to do what the other did, and I'm going to wrap it up, I think Bird could have played point guard if that's what he was required to do and been an outstanding point guard. Johnson could have done what Bird did, but not quite as well. I think Bird would have been marginally better at Johnson's role than Johnson would have been at Bird's role. And then the Jabbar factor. But give me either guy. I don't give a darn. Give me either guy on my team. And if you tell me Magic is better, you're not going to get an argument from me. But I give Bird this tiny edge.
Everything you said was great. Everything you said, because I agree with you. It's a coin flip. You're not going to be upset if you look at the history of both these players and see what they've done and what they've done for their respective team. And not only what they've done for their respective team, but what they've done for the league and supposedly bringing the NBA back in regards to their rivalry, Lakers versus Celtics. With that said, Bird, one of the great small forwards, if arguably the greatest small forward of all time. Depends on what era you're talking about. Depends on what person is talking about it. Some people would say, well, LeBron James is probably the greatest small forward. But LeBron James played more of a point forward. So Larry Johnson. Larry Bird definitely was great in all respects. He was a 3-time defensive, all defensive player. He played both sides of the ball at a high level. He was MVP. He was also 3-time champion. And I get it. Both teams were stacked. Both teams had great players on their team. But Magic Johnson, look, he played point guard at 6'9". It was unheard of. And I don't want to hear about having Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because Jerry West had what's his name? Will Chamberlain, right? Didn't they play
And
together?
Elgin Baylor.
And Elgin Baylor, and they couldn't win. How many times they won one championship together? I think.
Yeah, they won one championship after Elgin Baylor, it left the team early.
So I think it's my point in bringing that up is what you do with what you have, and I think coming in the league, my man was as a rookie, Magic Johnson was a great player. Kareem wasn't doing anything before that, before Magic got there. I think it's what you do with what you have.
Kareem won an NBA title with the Bucks.
Yes, with an Oscar Robertson in Milwaukee.
Robertson that was past his prime.
Yes. Okay. With that said, when he was in LA, they didn't do anything until Magic got there. Magic was the key piece for their success, and so I don't want to take away from what Magic Johnson was able to do by having the argument that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the reason that he won, because if anything, it's the other way around to me. And I think Magic, and being the orchestrator of that offense, he was the playmaker. And I don't think that Bird would have played a better position because nobody's passing like Magic Johnson. He's probably arguably one of the greatest passers in the league. And so I think that you're doing a disservice or discrediting what Magic has accomplished by saying that that Bird would have been better at his position than Magic. I mean, Magic would have been at his position. Magic wasn't a great shooter, mind you. I agree with that there, but he was an excellent rebounder. He still averaged 17 points. I mean, he had 17,000 points, and he averaged 19 points for his career, and Bird was 24. But with that said, the greatest passer in the league and playmaker, and the matchup, they met in 84, 85, and 87. Magic's got that edge with 2-1. And so you could say, hey, all the players here and there, to me, they were evenly matched. I think Magic was just a better player. He won an MVP and a finals MVP in 87. So again, like you said, edge, I'm going to give the slight edge to Magic Johnson just because of the head-to-head matchups and them being able to beat them 2 times out of 3.
There's one other X factor we don't bring up that helped Magic Johnson. He had better coaching. He had Pat Riley those years. Pat Riley, an outstanding coach, compared to the coaches that Larry Bird had, like a Casey Jones. Now, I'm not putting down the Celtic coaches. Don't misunderstand me. I'm basically complimenting Pat Riley, one of the great NBA coaches. So he had that stability over there, in the coaching staff. It's not something that I'm going to argue so vehemently against. They're 2 great players. They were different style of players, but I take either guy. But I like you give Magic a slight edge, I give Bird a slight edge. But if we were drafting and we lost, Bird and you lost Johnson and we had to flip flop, we'd both be happy.
Yeah, this is a pretty even competition between these two. Larry Bird was the guy that was the scorer on his team. By the stats that I'm looking at right now, it is indicative to which each player's role was on the team, where Magic had a lot of assists. He had 11.2 assists. That's what he averaged. That's a lot of assists. Larry Bird had 24.3 points a game compared to 19.5 for Magic. So you know what Larry Bird's job was. Then on the fact that Larry Bird had won 3 defensive, he's on 3 defensive teams, and Magic was not. So you can kind of basically, it's kind of a tie to me with both of them.
Fair.
If you put them both on a team, both of them on a team though, it'd be over. Because you got a guy that's going to make sure Larry Bird gets the ball. Larry Bird's a defender.
Well, Larry Bird wasn't that good at defensive play. Let's not get carried away, and neither was Magic.
He won 3
let's not get.
defensive.
They're not at Scottie Pippen's level either, guy as a defender. Michael Jordan was a much better
he
defensive
wouldn't
player
have
than
won the
Magic.
3 all defensive team, Jack, if
I
he wasn't a
don't
good
care. I
defender.
mean, he probably got it in part because he was, his popularity. I had
No,
to do
I
with
doubt
it.
that.
He
I doubt
Larry
that.
Bird wasn't a great defensive player by any measure.
Oh,
Well,
I
obviously he was
mean,
for 3 times.
some of it's psychological too, because this dude was able to get in people's head.
Yep.
He's known as one of the greatest trash talkers out there, and backed it up. So I would say defensively, I know he was running his mouth. I'm pretty sure as well, and so I'm pretty sure he got a lot of guys' head. But I mean, you can't take those awards. They weren't just give it to him, Jack. Come on, there's no way.
Well, I know the naked eye test watching the games, and Larry Bird as a defender he worked hard at it, yeah, but he was just so. Despite any awards he made. It's like Derek Jeter's last Golden Glove. He was given the Golden Glove award for one season, and just watching him play, we all knew, come on. I mean, he didn't have a Golden Glove, but he was Derek Jeter. He wasn't bad. He was okay.
You're using Larry Bird's defensive awards as a crutch to award anybody else in the league all time. Of course, he wasn't better a defensive player than Michael Jordan or Pippen or anything like that. But in the time that he was playing, he was. He might not have been in Michael Jordan's era.
Listen, it's a matter of opinion. You could say he was okay, he was adequate, but nothing exceptional about him defensively. And the same with Magic. Nothing exceptional about him defensively. Jordan, you could say, yeah, a great defender. You could say LeBron, a very good defender. But Magic and Bird, they got the job done. Put it this way, okay? They were passable. They got their diplomas.
All right. Well, this has been a very enlightened debate. I really, these have been some really good questions, Jack. Thank you for that. And you guys did a very good job
Russell
in debating.
Chamberlain thing, a remark was made by Rick Sherlock. Did we ever do the Russell Chamberlain debate in the past?
No.
I think he was more saying that because of your elder status.
No, but that used to be the great debate, in the NBA before.
I think you may have done it.
Chamberlain, Magic, Bird, LeBron, Jordan.
Maybe you guys did it with the late Mac. You guys might have debated that before. I'm not sure. But
that's a little out of my timeline.
We can. I'll do the research on it, but I mean, I'm going to watch a lot of film. But I mean, it's just it's almost hard to even debate that because you talk about the element of championships and wins. Russell seems to have everything in regards to that. I mean, but we can argue that, I guess, but it doesn't seem like it's even a debate. There's no one. It's not like Bird versus Magic because there's really no Bird. I mean, one was more dominant with a better team than
none of
the other.
None of these are debatable in reality because even today's debate, Magic and Bird were different styles of players. LeBron and Jordan are different style of players. They do different things. So, I mean, Russell Chamberlain were both centers. That would be the most debatable of all because, they played the same position, same responsibility. Like, I can't, for example, say who's a better player. We talked about Micah Parsons today. Micah Parsons or Jamar Chase. You tell me, what the heck are you talking about? A wide receiver and an edge rusher. You can't say who's a better player, just answered like that.
Right. Totally. I agree. But which is probably yes. Oh, no, I was just going to say a good debate would be Micah Parsons versus TJ Watt.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it has been a good debate session there, gentlemen, and we unfortunately have to sign off. But join us again. Go ahead, James.
I was going to say, make a plug that anybody that wants to ask, that has a debate question, send it to to your email. Just let them know, man, real quick.
Yeah. Let's see. I got that here. Right there at the bottom. Put it in section. Debate in the next show. We could do that because we're going to have a couple of remaining debate questions that we've had left from today that we can get to next week. Unfortunately, Jack will not be joining us because he has family events to go to. So we'll miss him, of course, in his debates. We're going to try to get somebody else on the debate with James if it's just not me and him. So anyway, everybody have a good rest of your day. Good weekend. Catch us tomorrow for the Sunday morning sports show. And you all have a great weekend.